Good morning, kindergartners. I'm here to do another reading lesson with you today, and Fezzik, our dog, has decided to join us. We'll see if he stays for the whole reading lesson or not. But today I wanted to talk to you about a strategy that readers use when they're reading, and it's that readers ask questions to stay engaged in the story. Now that means to stay engaged means to keep paying attention to what's happening in the story. So as you're reading a story, you want to make sure every now and then you're pausing and asking yourself some questions like when, how, where, what, or who. So today we are going to be reading a Clark the Shark book. And Clark is a really funny character. If you've never read any of these books, there's lots in the series. So you might want to look for those next time you're at the library. So here we have Clark the Shark. And it's written by Bruce Hale and illustrated by Gus Francis. Now, one of the things that I did, readers, so that I didn't forget to ask the questions is I made little notes for myself because sometimes when I start reading to you, I get so into the story that I forget to make sure that I'm doing the teaching part of the lesson too. So you might see a couple little notes in my book as we go along. All right, let's read. Clark the Shark. Clark the Shark. Look at Clark, he's so silly. This is their school bus. It's a submarine, kind of funny. In all the wide blue seas, in all the wide blue world, the top school for fish was Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. And of all the fish at Theodore Roosterfish, the biggest and the strongest was Clark the Shark. Clark loved school, and he loved his teacher, Mrs. Inky Dink. He loved to play upsy-downsy and spin-a-majig with his friends. Clark loved his life. All right, so let's pause, readers, and I want you to think to yourself, why does Clark love his life? Tell me, why does he love his life? What are some reasons he loves his life? Good job. Yeah, he loved his teacher, and he loved all the games that he was playing with his friends, right? All right, let's keep going. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting, more reading, said Mrs. Inky Dink. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Lunch your own lunch, said his best friend, Joey Mackerel. Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You are playing rough, Clark, cried the other kids. So let's stop again and ask ourselves some questions here. Who was not liking what Clark was doing? Do you remember? Mrs. Inky Dink, right? His teacher, because he was being a little bit loud during reading. His best friend, Joey Mackerel, because he ate his lunch. And the other kids out at recess because he was playing so rough. Yes, Clark loved his life with all of his sharky heart, but he loved everything way too much. He was too loud, he was too wild, and he was just too much shark for the other fish to handle. After a while, no one would play with Clark. No one ate lunch with him. No one sat with him at circle time. Even his best friend, Joey Mackerel, said, "Cool your jets, Clark. You're making me crazy." Oh, look at Clark's face. How do you think he's feeling right now? Looks a little sad. One day, Clark asked Mrs. Inky Dink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Mrs. Inky Dink patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard. You munch too hard. And, gosh, you even help too hard." "But life is so exciting," said Clark. "There's a time and a place for everything," said Mrs. Inky Dink. "And sometimes the rule is stay cool." Stay cool. What do you think that means? How could Clark stay cool? Well, let's read on and see if you're right. At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zing. "Sorry," said Clark. "I forgot." "Yikes!" cried Joey Mackerel. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good that he munched a bunch of lunches. "Sorry," said Clark. "I forgot." "We're starving," said his friends. In class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book got him all shook up. "Now, Clark," said Mrs. Inky Dink, "this isn't the time or the place. Tell me, what's the rule?" "Stay cool," said Clark. "Hey, that rhymes!" he cried. Then Clark got a big idea in his sharky head. "Maybe if I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time," he thought. The next day, he put his plan to work. Do you remember what his plan is? What was Clark planning to do to help him remember? That's right, he was going to make things rhyme. Let's see if we can hear those rhymes. In class, when lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce up out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, "When teacher's talking, don't go walking." Did you hear that rhyme? Walking, talking. And what do you know? It worked. "Attaboy, Clark," said Mrs. Inky Dink. Clark smiled. Lessons are fun. At lunch, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and never stop, he told himself, "Only munch your own lunch." And it worked again. Munch, lunch. Did you hear the rhyme? "Way to go, Clark," said his friends. Clark grinned. Lunch is fun. At playtime, Clark told himself, "Easy does it, that's the way. Then my friends will let me play." Play. And playtime was fun. Once more, Clark loved his life. Friends look much happier there, don't they? But then a shadow fell across the playground. A ginormous shadow with tentacles galore. "It's a new kid, and he looks scary," cried Joey Mackerel. "Swim for your lives!" The squid squashed the slide, and he snapped off the swing. "Oops, my bad," said the new kid. Let's stop and make a prediction. What do you think might happen next with the new kid? Do you think Clark might help out the new kid? Let's see. "Wait," Clark said. "He just wants to play. Let's find a way." And he swam at the new kid with all his might. Clark played harder than he had ever before. Upsy-downsy and spin-a-jig. Why, he even made up a new game, Tell Wumpa Lumpus. "Wow, that was fun," said the new kid breathlessly, and he settled down. "If you want to come to school, you've got to stay cool," said Clark. Do you remember who taught him that lesson? Who told him he needed to stay cool? That's right, Mrs. Inky Dink, his teacher, right? That's right, Clark, said Mrs. Inky Dink. And thanks for taking care of our new classmate, Sid the squid. Hooray for Clark the shark, everyone cheered. He looks much happier there, doesn't he? That night, Clark's mother asked, "What did you learn at school, dear?" "There's a time and a place for everything," Clark said. "Sometimes you stay cool, but sometimes a shark's gotta do what a shark's gotta do." The end. I like that story. And I love Clark the shark. I love that he realized that he wasn't being a really good friend all the time and looked for ways that he could change that and make some good changes. And then he also helped out Sid the squid too with the lesson that he had learned. So, readers, did you notice as we were reading the story, I stopped quite a few times to ask myself some questions. And those questions made sure that I was really focusing on what was happening in the story. Because readers ask questions to keep them engaged, so that they keep interested in what's happening in the story. So starting today and forever and ever, when you're reading a book or someone's reading a book to you, I want you to stop every now and then during the story and ask yourself some questions. Make sure you're really paying attention to what's happening in that story. And look, Fezzik stayed the whole time. He loved the story so much that he wanted to hear how it ended. All right, have a good day, my friends, and I will see you next time.